Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Imu-Sama may have stolen Luffy's mother's body, and this is the explosive explanation for why she never appeared, for Dragon's deadly hatred of the world nobles, and for why his personality became a volcano of revolution. That's right, forget the idea of a normal mother who died or disappeared. Imu, the shadow tyrant, invaded Dragon's wife's body, turning her into a puppet of the Celestials, which made Dragon lose everything and swear eternal war without even knowing the name of the true villain. I'll explain everything to you in today's video. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, Imu first appears as an enigmatic silhouette in Chapter 906, sitting on the empty throne and giving orders to the Gorosei as if they were puppets. But what's terrifying is in Chapter 1095, where he transforms the 5 elders into demonic forms with black flames, suggesting an ability to infuse essence or control bodies from afar. In Chapter 1162, during the God Valley flashback, Imu possesses Saturn and releases Haki that shakes even Roger and Garp, proving he can invade minds and bodies like an eternal parasite. Now, think about Luffy's mother. She is never mentioned by name, never appears in flashbacks, and is a giant hole in Dragon's story. In Chapter 100, he declares in Logtown that Luffy is his son, but speaks with a pain that goes beyond parental pride. This theory proposes that Dragon's wife was either an ordinary woman or maybe from the D-Clan, and Imu chose her as a vessel to infiltrate the rebel lineage, stealing her body and changing her personality to serve the Celestials. This explains Dragon's visceral hatred for the nobles. He saw the woman he loved turn into a cold stranger, obeying Marioa. Dragon establishes his hatred for the world nobles in Chapter 432, when Sabo says he abandoned the Navy and founded the Revolutionary Army to overthrow the Celestials. But the tone is personal, as if something inside him broke. In Chapter 440, in Water 7, Dragon argues with Ivankov about plans, but his expression carries a rage that isn't just ideological. It's the rage of someone who lost everything. The theory fits here. Imagine Dragon married to a strong woman, maybe called something like Portgas or linked to the D-Clan, and suddenly she changes, starts defending the nobles, goes to Marijoa, and disappears from his life. He doesn't know about Imu, who in Chapter 906 acts from the shadows, but he sees his wife's transformation as the work of the Celestials, swearing vengeance without understanding that the true culprit is the occupant of her body. This explains why Dragon never talks about Luffy's mother. The pain is too great, and he thinks she betrayed everything for power, when in reality, Imu possessed her, just like he does with Saturn in Chapter 1162. The absence of Luffy's mother is a glaring mystery. In Chapter 1, Garp mentions that Dragon is Luffy's father, but nothing about the mother. In Chapter 558, at Marineford, Dragon reacts to seeing Luffy in danger with restrained fury, but never touches on the family past. In Chapter 582, Ivankov asks about Luffy's mother, and Dragon dodges, saying she is no longer among us, but the tone suggests something worse than death, betrayal, or loss of identity. This theory fills the gap. Imu, who in Chapter 1085 obliterates Lulusia to hide secrets, could have stolen Luffy's mother's body years earlier, using her as a spy or temporary vessel to monitor the D-Clan. When Luffy is born with Joy Boy's potential in Chapter 1044, Imu either abandons the body or keeps it as a puppet in Marijoa, explaining why she completely disappears. Dragon, seeing his wife become a cold noble, explodes in hatred, founding the revolution in Chapter 432 without knowing he is fighting an immortal parasite. Imu, as a body thief, gains support in Chapter 1160, God Valley, where he uses Saturn to confront Roger, suggesting he jumps between hosts to maintain eternal power. In Chapter 1095, the Gorosei regenerate under Imu's influence, hinting that he infuses essence. In Chapter 1085, he discusses threats like the D-Clan, seeing Luffy's mother as a perfect target to infiltrate the lineage. Dragon, who in Chapter 100 saves Luffy with a storm, acts as a protective father, but his hatred for the nobles in Chapter 440 is visceral, as if he saw the woman he loved defending enslavement and oppression, changing overnight. He doesn't know about Imu, who acts hidden in Chapter 906, but blames the Celestials, swearing to overthrow them without realizing the true enemy is the entity inside his wife's body. The changed personality of Luffy's mother fits with possessions in One Piece. In Chapter 1162, Saturn becomes Imu's puppet, losing individual traits, and in Chapter 1095, the Gorosei transform into beasts under command. Imagine Luffy's mother, perhaps a cheerful woman like Luffy, suddenly becoming cold, defending Marijoa and abandoning Dragon. He, in Chapter 432, confounds the revolution with personal rage, and in chapter 582, Ivankov notices his pain, but Dragon hides the reason. This theory explains everything. Imu stole her body to monitor Joy Boy's birth, just as Vegapunk in chapter 1116 links Nika to the D-Clan, and when Luffy awakens in chapter 1044, Imu plans to jump into the son's body but uses the mother as the initial bridge. Dragon not knowing about Imu makes sense because the villain acts in the shadows, like in chapter 906 where even the Gorosei tremble. Dragon, in chapter 440, plans with Ivankov without mentioning a specific name, blaming the nobles as a whole. In chapter 100, he saves Luffy but never speaks of the mother, as if remembering the apparent betrayal hurts too much. The theory proposes that the mother is alive, possessed in Marijoa, perhaps disguised as a celestial, and Dragon fights to overthrow the system without knowing he is saving his wife by exposing Imu. In chapter 1085, Imu destroys kingdoms to hide crimes. Stealing Luffy's mother's body would be another secret, explaining Dragon's hatred in chapter 432 as vengeance for a loss that looks like betrayal. The revelation could come in Elbaf or Laugh Tale, but the theory focuses on the past. Imu, who in chapter 1160 uses God Valley to test possession, chose Luffy's mother years earlier, changing her personality to serve Marijoa. Dragon, seeing this, explodes in chapter 440, and in chapter 582 hides his pain from Ivankov. Luffy, in chapter 1044 as Joy Boy, attracts Imu to the definitive body, but the mother was the first theft, explaining her total absence. If we consider that Imu, the enigmatic figure who manipulates the world's puppets, has this ability to possess, it completely changes the view of Luffy's mother and her relationship with Dragon. What happened to Dragon's wife isn't just a matter of abandonment or death, but a deep attack on her essence, turning her into an involuntary victim of this parasitic entity that is Imu. The possibility that Luffy's mother was Imu's first victim, using her body to monitor the D lineage, would explain why Dragon never mentions her name. He doesn't want to and can't talk about her, because the pain of seeing the woman he loved transformed into something completely different, someone he doesn't recognize, is unbearable. Imu, therefore, wouldn't just be infiltrating a single body, but creating a network of control among the most powerful families and lineages, even infiltrating people closest to the revolutionaries without Dragon ever knowing. The change in Luffy's mother's behavior from a woman possibly of the D-Clan or with a significant connection to him to a servant of the Celestials would have been such a profound shock that Dragon's rebellion wouldn't just be against the tyranny of the world nobles, but a personal revenge against what he believed was betrayal. He didn't know the true enemy was beyond his comprehension. This kind of possession isn't a new concept within the One Piece universe, as we've seen at several points in the series, like in chapter 1162, Imu can indeed control bodies, using his puppets for his own ends. This puts into perspective the idea that he can manipulate life and death, completely changing the course of events without leaving a trace. If he was able to control Saturn in God Valley, there's a strong chance he did the same with Dragon's wife, creating a puppet to spy on and influence events from within. The fact that Dragon never mentions Luffy's mother also carries immense emotional weight. He presents himself as a determined man with a clear mission to overthrow the world government. But at the same time, this mission is charged with a personal pain he never fully shares with anyone, not even his closest allies. What Dragon feels isn't just a generic hatred for the Celestials, but a loss so intimate that he can't even talk about it without reliving the pain. This pain is so deep because he knows there was no betrayal by his wife, only a theft of her essence, a forced transformation, a radical change imposed by Imu. Now, understanding that Imu could have manipulated Dragon's wife's body for so long also adds a layer of complexity to the story of the D-Clan. What Dragon may have experienced was one of the worst nightmares of any revolution, losing the one thing he loved most while having his worldview completely turned upside down. The revolution he founded and his subsequent actions, all driven by a desire for revenge, could in reality reflect the internal battle he wages against what remained of the person he loved. By stealing Luffy's mother's body, Imu wouldn't just have set in motion a series of events that culminated in the formation of the Revolutionary Army, but also placed Dragon in a position where he's fighting something he doesn't fully understand. He is trying to destroy the Celestial system, but he doesn't know that his own pain is fueled and amplified by an invisible force acting from the shadows. Dragon's true battle isn't just against the world government, it's against the entity that cruelly and meticulously destroyed his personal life. What do you think about this? Comment below. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.